Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Friday the 4th of July. So I guess we are closed in US today. But let's just quickly recap. We have in this educational video where there's no recommendation whatsoever. It is for educational purposes. No advice, no recommendation. Let's start with S&P 500 that closed almost a percent higher, 8.8% yesterday higher, and I think we could have a short-term peak, and I think we could maybe have a correction, and then I think we will see it pushing higher, but S&P 500 higher, Nasdaq 100 also higher, bullish trend, just starting to show a little bit divergence here on the RSI. You see it's lower here than here, but we are still in a bullish trend, so for now trust the trend. Dow Jones also quite a good day, pushed higher. The old school stocks, some of them at least, but it was technology that was really strong yesterday with 1.7% or something like 1.3% in total as a sector. So it seems like we are pushing higher on all of these fronts to here in the aftermarket and pre-market a little bit. The indicators or futures are down a little bit, as you can see here. US 500 is down a little bit, but I wouldn't take that much into account. However, we are a little bit stressed here. We could see a bit of a correction going into early next week. Hang Seng still weak. Also this morning, almost a percent down. Very close to testing the lower rising trend line there, but it's testing the support at 23,827. I think it will bounce from around this, but we could see further weakness before that occurs. We are still in a bullish trend, higher high, higher low, higher high, and let's see where this higher low will end. Still positive sentiment, but there is divergence indicating that we are a little bit stressed, but I think it will be growing higher. The Nikkei unchanged today, more or less. Still in this correction mood here, but positive sentiment without the divergence, indicating lightly higher levels. It just needs to get its mojo back and push higher above 41,000, 41,870 previous peak there. I think we will see that, but the correction could take a little bit lower towards 39 and maybe a little bit below that. European EuroStoxx tested resistance at 5,344 yesterday, but here pre-market we are set back a little bit again, so it is a little bit of a struggle to get above that level, and I think we can adjust this a little bit and say okay, just say 5. Oops, that was not correct. I wanted to put in 5,345 there. There we are. So then we have these peaks a little bit more with it. I know they're a little bit higher, but if it takes out these peaks here, 5,348, well, then I think the uptrend has resumed, but it needs to close above for a confirmation. On the DAX index, just a little bit sideways here, but above 23,740. Pre-market, we're down a little bit. So, not that convincing, and RSI was rejected at 60 threshold here a few days ago. That showing we are still a negative sentiment, so I don't expect a bullish push anytime soon. It needs to take out and close about 24,170. On the FX market, euro dollar, a little bit of weakness. We are in a correction phase. It's just a question how big it will be. And it might not be that big, but we could see a dip to the 38.2 retracement and testing possibly also the rising trend line there. But if it takes out the peak here at 118 and a change, well, then we are on, we have paved the road higher towards 19, as we can see. That's the next resistance level. On sterling dollar dipped to 50% of this uptrend there. So we are a little bit in a limbo at the moment. There is divergence, as you can see here on the RSI. We can make it clear by actually drawing a falling trend line. You can see right there. So RSI values declining, market move higher, so we are a little bit stressed. If it takes out that spike down there at 135.60, well, then expect 135.20, 134.48 possibly. If it takes out the peak, of course, 137.90, well, then uptrend has resumed. Euro sterling, some weakness after spiking above the 786 retracement at 86.56. So a little bit of a setback there. Could slide back to the 86 and test that, but we are in a bullish trend. I think it will resume uptrend eventually, and if taking out at that peak there at 86.70, expect a push up to 87.50 and higher. Dollar yen, well, dollar yen is has bounced off its support there at 142.80 and the rising trend line here. So it's caught range bound in this region here, needs to break out for a direction. I think the direction will be to the downside, moving average 100 down, but 55 is lifting a little bit, so it's debatable. Let's see about it. 146.30 to the upper side. It needs to take out and close above. If it closes above, well, then there's potential higher to 146, 147. But for now, a little bit of a limbo. What is not a limbo apparently is euro yen still pushing higher despite showing divergence on the RSI, but there's potential up to 171, 171 and a half, which is a resistance. It's not the strongest one, but we have in this area where we had a little bit of consolidation, 171.40 and 173. Will we get there? I wouldn't be surprised on the medium term, but short term, it will be a little bit of a stretch. But the trend is your friend. And I will actually add a little bit of a horizontal line there, say that's the minor support. It needs to stay above 168.45 to maintain or remain in this bullish trend. Aussie yen yesterday finally took out the resistance here at 94.80, 85. Trying to get back below here, testing from the upper side, but I think we will see a push up to 95.75. If it closes above that, well, we still have the 200 moving average giving some resistance. We do have a positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, so I think we will see a push up there to at least challenge that and maybe up to 97. Sterling yen. Bouncing after the testing this trend line here back above the 196.40. Excuse me, and I think we will see it push up to 199, 199.5, 200. Aussie dollar, well, just hovering around this 65.5, 65, just below 66. Seems like 66 is actually a bit of a resistance just below there. But we are in a bullish trend. I think we will pushing higher. We have talked about it so many times. I still believe there's a potential up to 66, 60, 66, 80, where there's some resistance. The dollar Canada keeps sliding lower, and let's just zoom in what could be. If it takes out the 135 40 support down here, well, then we are looking at 134.40 possibly, and I think that's the direction we are pushing at the moment. Of course, there will be corrections when it hit here. We can see a correction, but we are in a bearish trend on dollar Canada. Sterling Canada seems to have found some strong support here. 55 moving average, the upper part of the cloud, and the 61.8 retracement at 185. That is giving some support, and I think we could see a bounce here in the coming days. Euro Swiss, still not much to say, still there's range here, so let's just push on to more interesting FX pairs. We have the dollar Swiss that almost spiked up to, bounced up to the 38.2 retracement at 80. But now it seems to be resuming downtrend, and if it takes out the lows here from a few days ago, early this week at 78.70, expect a push down to 77.70 at the 161.8 projection here. And I think that's where we're headed. There's no divergence on the negative RSI, indicating likely to push down to these levels here. But be aware, if it takes out the peak from yesterday, then we could try to test 80.40. Dollar index also heavy. If it takes out the lows here from earlier this week at 96, then we are looking at 95.12, possibly lower, but at least that's where we're headed. If it takes out the spike up from yesterday, 97.07, well, then we are likely to test this falling trend line and the resistance here at 97.68. Gold sideways just above the 55 moving average. it didn't get all the way up to the 61.8 retracement. It's a little bit of sign of weakness, I would say, but it needs to close above 3,400 to resume bullish trend, and RSI should get back above 60 threshold to further confirm that. There is positive sentiment on the RSI, however, so we could see that, and the key support here 3,245. On silver, there we are, silver, and the next resistance is of course the previous peak there at 35.32. That could, if it takes it out, well, then there is potential higher above 38. Key support down here at 35.45. Platinum seems to be very volatile in a range between the previous peak here at 14.37 and 13.20. Copper, a little bit of correction after reaching the 138.2 projection, setting back here. So I added this Fibonacci set there, saying we could see it down to around 502, maybe dipping a little bit to 500, but we are in a bullish trend, no divergence on the RSI, that is positive, and I think after correction it will push higher, and if taking out 521 and a change, then we're looking at 533, possibly higher. On the oil business, where we saw the WTI crude oil bounce a bit, it didn't get all the way up to, but can still do it up to the 96.50, which is 38.2 retracement of this massive sell-off there. We have the 200 moving average will add a little bit to resistance. We have the 55 coming up here, adding to the support. So I think we will slowly crawl up to around this level, and then we could see again a setback. If it takes out 64 down here, well, then we have a new situation. Brent crude oil, you can also see it bounced a little bit, but it hasn't bounced that much, but there's still time, of course. If it takes out 66.34, the lows here, well, then expect sell-off down to around 63, 62 and a half. The European gas just trading sideways, trying to bounce a bit, but we have all moving averages declining now, trying to push it lower, and maybe that's where we are headed. The US nat gas core range bound here between 320 and the upper part of the cloud here, which is around 358. Taking out the peak up there, then we're looking at 375. On the US 10-year Treasury yield, that bounced to the 38.2 retracements at 335 yesterday. Also we have the 100 moving average coming down. They're kind of putting a lid on it, but we're dancing around also 200. So there's a really conflicting point here. There's a lot of interest going on. We could slide back a little bit here, but I expect throughout the day it will be fairly quiet. On the European yields, we had the EU 10-year that sat back again. Did get all the way up to 265 at the 55 moving average at the moment, and the support here at the 253. What we could do also, if we are very short term, we can see it setting back here, and then we have another. What I would do, and then I will remove this one, then we can see it setting back around the 38.2. So there's a little bit of support there, and we can also add a horizontal line to it. There we are, to that little there at 254. That's a little bit of a support. The UK 10-year sat back after spiking above 266 and the 61.8 retracement, so it sat back a little bit yesterday. Let's see where it's going to trade today, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the market in terms of the UK economy and finances, so be careful if you are trading UK yields. And finally, Bitcoin, well, slowly crawling higher, it seems. I think we could see a test 112,000 eventually, but now it's just testing these little spike up to 110,650, but I think we'll see it testing 112. We saw the RSI being tested here at 60 threshold. It needs to close above for a bullish confirmation. Ethereum dancing around the 61.8 retracement here, just below 2600, but starting to establish a bullish trend. If it takes out the lows there at 2370, then we are looking at 2100 again. All right, that's all for today and this week. Have a nice weekend when you get to there.